Hey friends, how are you? Hope you're well and you've had a good week. Mine's been good. I've had a nice week. I was out singing on Tuesday afternoon with my parents and my boyfriend. We have this group where we go around. You know, if people ask us to go and do it's a slideshow, so we oh my goodness, show scenes of Scotland and sing songs as well. So we were out doing one of those on Tuesday, which was really nice. What else have I done this week? I think that was the only time I was out this week. Actually, it's been I've been in the house kind of the rest of the time, but I've been doing things which has been good. I've done more colouring. Another video of that is coming soon. And so I've just been sort of doing little things. I've been reading. I've already finished two books. Well, yeah, two books. One that I carried over in February. One that I started in February. But I'll tell you about those later on. But yes, so it's been a really good week reading wise. I have read two books, and as I say, I've actually read three, probably four, but I'll only talk about three at the moment. I can talk about three each now. One's for another video that I'm doing. So what did I read? I read My Kind of Christmas by Janet Dailey. This was my first by her. I gave this 4.5 out of 5. Really, really enjoyed this. So we meet Travis, who has been in jail. And when you get the backstory, I'm like, well, in many ways, he should not have been jailed. I thought it was a bit... For me, I didn't think it was a tragic accident, and he's basically taking the brunt of it. And that's all I'm going to say. So he's come back to Branding Iron to try and revive the old family farm. And he's a bit of a recluse. He doesn't go out much. Only goes into town. Doesn't even go into town. I think he goes to the other town to get his groceries and stuff. And the farm is struggling. And then one day his elderly neighbour comes to him and says, look, I'm retiring. Would you look after my horses and my dog for me? Because I can't find anyone at the moment to take them on. Would you look after them until I find someone? And, Travis is like, yeah, sure, no problem. But along with said dog and two horses, comes a Santa sleigh. Because the elderly neighbour used to play Santa in the town's Christmas pageant. And this brings Mayor Maggie into Travis's life, and she has somebody in mind to play Santa who happens to be Travis's father, but they have been estranged for quite a while since Travis was a teenager. And there are reasons for that. But Travis's dad says, I'm only going to do it if Travis will be my wingman, basically, if he'll look after the horses. And Travis says, well, I don't know anything about horses, and no, I am not going to do I'm not having anything to do with my father. But Maggie doesn't give up, and various things happen that Travis gets help on the farm from his friend Connor. And there are lots of things that happen within the story that I'm not going to tell you because it's just going to spoil, but it was really good. This was my first Janet Delaney, and it's not going to be my last. I want to read more of this series because I really, really enjoyed it. So yes, so that was my sort of first really good read. And then I picked up on my Kindle The Christmas Window by Melissa MacClone. Is this book one, I think, of her series. Now, I think it's... Excuse me one moment till I just double check something. Yes, I'm right. This is book 1 in the Silver Falls series. I've read books 1 and 3, and I know that book 4 is coming out in March. So I've already earmarked it for reading. So in this first book, we meet Callie, who came to Silver Falls about 3 years ago, and she runs the local dog grooming, daycare centre, doggy daycare. And she's made friends, and she's really, really happy there. She's wanting to win the town's annual Best Christmas Decorated Window Award, because her family are coming to Silver Falls this year, and she wants to show them that she's a success, because they have all got sort of high-flying jobs, etc. And they treat her, she's the youngest of the family, and they treat her very much as the baby of the family. As an example, she decides that she wants a real Christmas tree for her house for Christmas, and she sort of talks about it on the family group chat, and like her mum's like, what about the needles, dear? Wouldn't it be better to have an artificial? And one brother's going, oh, you should get this kind of tree. The other goes, that kind of tree. And the other goes, oh, I agree with mum and dad, you should have an artificial. You know, so they all have their tuppence worth, and she just wants to do it on her own. And as much as she loves their help, she very much wants to stand on her own 2 feet. Also come back to town is Brant, and he's come back to his hometown to spend Christmas with his aunt. Now his aunt is a bit of a not meddlesome lady, she is a sort of a bit of a matchmaker, and she thinks that Brant and Callie would be very, very good together. Absolutely, lovely couple. And the two of them are like, whoa, no, we are not ready for relationships, we've got too much happening, blah, blah, blah. But Brant also is very wary of being back in town, because he used to run a business with his best friend in the town, and things went wrong there. And he moved away, but the friend has stayed. So we have this sort of like, he's trying to avoid his friend, etc., etc. So we have all of that going on. There's Callie agrees to show Brant like the new changes in town, etc. So they do that, and they spend time together. And the more time they spend together, obviously there is a connection. There always has to be a bit in a story like this where something goes wrong, and it does go wrong. And I liked the way that it was resolved. It was really nicely resolved, and I really liked the whole story. I love the setting of Silver Falls. For me, I really do like small town romances where you get to learn more about the people, not only the two main characters as it were, but the other people within the town as well. And I like the fact that everybody pulls together when things go wrong. So I really, really enjoyed it, and I would, both books, if you haven't read them, I highly recommend them. So that was those two. Then I decided I wanted to listen to a book, so I picked up Out of the Storm by B.J. Daniels. I got hooked in this book, friends. I seriously got hooked in this book. I started it on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday I thought I'm going to do some colouring. I thought I'm going to put my book in, and I read, I listened to it solidly while I was colouring. I think I got something like 20 chapters in that day, because it was just so good. And then I listened to it again at night. And then yesterday, I only had something like 5 chapters to go, and I thought I'm going to just sit and listen to it, and I did. It was so good. It's so good that I've actually ordered the physical book and ordered the second book in the series. So we meet a lady whose name at the moment has escaped me. Hold on. Okay, yes, her name is Kate. For some reason, my brain went to another name. Anyway, we meet Kate, and she's been widowed for about 20 years because her husband Daniel, whom she had married straight from school, they're high school sweethearts, had children early. One day he went to work at the petrol or oil refinery facility where he worked, and there was a massive explosion and a fire, and his body was never found. So for 20 years she has been grieving for Daniel and missing him. But she's met Colin, and Colin has proposed to her about a couple of times, but in the third, she accepts him this time. And he decides that as an engagement sort of thing, they're going to go away on a trip, because Kate has said she's never seen snow. So they go on this trip, and they fly to Montana, and then they're driving through Montana, and a big snowstorm hits, and they end up in Buckthorn. And they find this B&B, and they go into it, and they're stuck. They're stuck in this town for about 3 days because the car breaks down, and Colin's getting a bit antsy about this, and he eventually says, "Look, we're actually going to drive across the Canadian border because I bought you a wedding dress, and we need to. My associates want to meet you, and etc. etc." This started to ring. This started to kind of hit warning bells in my head, and I'm like, he's not a nice man. Don't like him. So, as I say, he's getting antsy, and one day, I think the second day they're there, Kate goes for a walk around town, and she sees this, down this lane, she sees this door that's ajar, and she smells wood shavings and stuff, and here's a sander going, and this takes her back because her father used to do woodwork. So she goes to investigate, and she opens the door, and she sees this man. He turns round, and basically she's looking at her dead husband's face, and she blanks out. She comes round, and he's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? My name's John," etc. etc. And she runs away from him. But she goes back, then she sort of tells Colin, and Colin's like, "Oh, don't be stupid, we've got to get out of here, but the car's still in the shop," sort of thing. So the next day she goes back, and she starts telling John about, the children that she has, etc., just to try and see if she can jog his memory, just in case, if it is Daniel. And they do become close, even though he has no recollection of being Daniel. And she ends up talking to a friend of his who's an older gentleman, and he's like, "This is who John is, blah blah blah." And the more that Kate spends time with John, and the more that John spends time with him, they're drawn to each other. And Colin is not happy about this. Colin is like, mad. So eventually, the car is fixed, and Kate's like, "I'm not going with you. I'm staying because I want to see if John will remember." But in all essence, basically, Colin kidnaps her, and they drive across the border into Canada. Kate figures out what is going on the drive, and is really not happy, is furious, and it goes from there. I'm not joking. It was a really good thriller, really well written. As I say, I'm really looking forward to get the next one. I probably will start reading it as soon as I get it. The reason I got the paperback copy of the first book was so that my parents can read it, because I think they will really, really enjoy it as well. So that's kind of what I've been reading this week. As I say, there is another book, but it's for another video. Hold on a minute till I tell you what I'm going to read this weekend. So this weekend I've planned to read another Chalet School filler, which is The Chalet School World by Helen Barber. So I'm looking forward to this. I started it last night, read the first one, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. So I'll probably read that. Maybe just spend the weekend reading that. I hope to take part in the Retro Romance Readathon, and I have a couple of books that I can read for that, but I'm just going to fit them in during the week, during the sort of the month, for that. But that's kind of my reading, what I've been reading this week, and what I'm going to read this weekend. Please let me know down in the comments. Have you read any of the books that I've mentioned? If so, what did you think of them? I'd really like to know. Plans for the weekend? Well, the Six Nations start this weekend. Yes. And Scotland, they kick off with a really tough match. We've got England away at Twickenham, so I hope they do it. They've done it a couple of they have won at Twickenham before and in the recent past. So I have hopes. I haven't seen the England team yet. I've seen the Scotland team, and I like the Scotland team that Gregor's put out. I really do. I do like it. So yes, so I'm really looking forward to, you know, starting the Six Nations this weekend. So that's going to be Saturday, Sunday viewing taken care of. This morning I made some jam. I made another batch of Christmas jam, which if you've seen my Christmas makes and bakes video, you will have seen that. But I made that again today, so that was great. Really chuffed to have done that. But that's it for this video, friends. Please let me know down in the comments what your weekend reading plans are. I would love to know. But until, and also any other plans you have for the weekend, that would be good to know. But until my next video, friends, stay safe, happy reading. Bye!